Hi there, this is section 5.1. You've probably noticed that we're skipping chapter 4, which is totally fine. We can only squish so much in a semester. Alright, this whole chapter is about polynomials, the basics of polynomials, things like that. So, what is a polynomial? It's a multi-termed expression. Okay? What's a term? Well, a term is anything that's separated by pluses and minuses. So here an x is a term, the negative 9x squared is a term, and 5x cubed is a term. So this has three terms, correct? Why do I ask you questions? You can't answer me. What is a coefficient? Coefficient is the number in front of the variable. Okay? So the coefficient of the first term, if there's nothing there, it's a 1, correct? I just asked you another question. Coefficient of the second term, okay, now this is a negative 9. It's got the sign is retained in front of it. And the coefficient of the last term, the third one, is 5/8. Okay? So this is just terminology in through here. So we're just labeling, what is a polynomial, what is a term, what is a coefficient. Good. Nice review. What's a like term? Well, like terms. Okay, numbers are alike. They can be added and subtracted. X's are alike, x plus x, right? I cannot add unlike terms. I can't add x to x squared. I can't add an x and a y. So basically, when you're looking at these, you're looking at for each one of these, you're looking at the variable to see what it is. Okay, these are all x's, so that's good, and they all have the same power. So they have to be the same letters and the same powers in order to add or subtract them. Okay? Now multiplying and dividing is different. It doesn't need to be the same, but for adding and subtracting, they have to be exactly the same. So I see that these are like terms, all three of them. I've got three terms of x to the sixth, and if I add them, or I like the word combine better. I'm combining them because I've got negative numbers there. I'm taking a negative 2 plus 5 minus 7. So really what I'm doing is I'm just combining the coefficients. So I've got negative 2 plus 5 minus 7. Okay, so right here, negative 2 plus 5 is a 3. So I can, I can do this, or I can do this. Okay, so I'm just going to go left to right here. All right, and now I've got negative 4, but I've got x to the sixths. Okay, so that would be this one. Okay. All right, so here, same thing. We've got b to the fifths. You're just going to combine the coefficients. 8 plus 2 minus 6 minus 2. All right, what's alike and what's not alike? It says simplify and give the degree of the polynomial. Also classify it. Well, all right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to simplify. So simplification means combine any like terms that you have. Well, I can combine my x to the fifths, right? But I can't combine those with an x or no x's. These are all different. My x to the fifths and my x's and my numbers are all different. So all I can do is combine these two. So I'm going to take an eighth and a half and add that. Okay, so I'm going to take an eighth. I'm going to add it to a half. Let the calculator do the dirty work. All right, turn it into 5/8. So that's where we'll start. So we've got 5/8, and then I've got x raised to the fifth power. Okay, so that's these two combined, and then I've got negative 3x that I can't do anything with it, and then I've got a negative 16, so that's where we'll start. So that's as simplified as I can get it, okay? Okay, degree. What is the degree of the polynomial? Well, when we put this in descending order, meaning from highest power to lowest power, we're going to look at the lead term, which is the first term, and we're going to see what the power is on it. It's a 5, so this is a 5th degree polynomial. Okay? And what type of polynomial is this? Well, then we're counting terms. We've got 1, 2, 3. Binomials are 2 terms. Trinomials are 3 terms. Monomials are 1 terms, and none of these are none of these. So this is a 1, 2, 3 termed polynomial with a 5th degree and a leading coefficient of 5/8. It's just terminology right now. Okay? The leading coefficient is the number in front of the highest powered term. Okay, we have to, obviously we're gonna hang it. We're gonna see the, there we go. We're gonna see the polynomial here. For the polynomial, first simplify, if possible, and write it with descending powers. That means from highest to lowest powers. Ascending is the other way around. Then give the degree of the resulting polynomial and tell whether it's a monomial, binomial, trinomial, or none of these. Okay, so it's exactly the same thing that we've done. So you can add your x cubed terms, right? Those are alike. And then you can add your x terms. Those are alike. So you're going to want to simplify it first, just like we did. I'm not going to do this one. So you're going to have so many x cubes, and then you're going to have so many x's, right? And that'll be a binomial because it's 2 terms. And the degree of the polynomial will be a 3rd degree because that's your highest power. Piece of cake. All right, so now we're going to start evaluating or substituting in numbers for letters. So we've got, here's my expression. Here's my polynomial expression. And it's telling me that x is -1. So wherever I see an x, I'm going to put a -1 in. And the rest stays the same. And then I crunch numbers. Okay. Should we do it by hand? Let's do this one by hand. I'm fine with that. All right. One thing at a time. -1 times -1 times -1. That's what this is saying. It's -1. -1 times -1. That's what that's saying. And I've got -5 times negative. Okay, so I'll just do my powers first. All right. Now I'm going to go back through and do all my multiplication next. -3 times -1 is a +3. 8 times 1 is 8. -5 and a -1 is a +5. I got that. Now I'm just going to add straight across, left to right. 3 plus 8 is 11. This is how I would do it in my homework. 11 plus 5 is 16. 14. Okay, now if you want to, you could put it in all right here. We should verify this. So we've got a -3 times a -1 raised to the 3rd power plus 8 times a -1. I'm going to always contain those negatives in parentheses so it knows to square or cube the whole thing. Minus 5 times -1. This one I don't need to because I'm not raising it to a power. Minus 2. 14. Okay, so either way we have 14. So that's how we evaluate a polynomial at a certain number. Okay. Now what we can do is we can add or subtract polynomials. Okay, we have this front polynomial and we're supposed to add it to the back polynomial. Well, all right, I can do that. I'm going to rewrite it down here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these things vertically. And since I've got fractions, and I know you guys don't like fractions, we'll just use a calculator. That's fine. Oops, I'm adding, right? So what I'm going to do is, since I've stacked my like terms, I've got my x squareds here, I've got my x's here, and I've got my numbers here. Okay, now if it was all goofed up and in, you know, different order or whatever, you'd want to stack them. Okay, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add my coefficients. I've got a 1/2, so I've got 1/2, and I'm going to add a 5th. Ouch. Sorry. All right, and I'm going to turn those all into fractions. So I've got 7/10 there. So I've got 7/10 x squareds. Now I'm going to do it again. Okay, I'm going to add a 1/2. I'm not going to do all of these, but I'll just get you started here. And I'm going to subtract a 1/6. And I do math, enter, enter. So I've got a 1/3. It's a positive 1/3. And I've got x's. And then I'm just going to add those and get my whatever I've got here. And there's my polynomial. Put them in as fractions, my coefficients. Coefficients are the numbers in front. So if this is given to you as fractions, we usually put them in as fractions. Okay. Subtraction. Not any different. You just got to be careful with it. Okay, so again, I'm going to stack our terms, and I think they're stacked for us. So even if you didn't have that, you would want to make sure that they're all stacked so that we know that we can subtract each one of these. Subtracting. So we're going to take this and subtract that, get an answer. This subtract that, get an answer. This subtract that, get an answer. And this subtract that and get an answer. Okay? Now with subtraction, we just have to be careful because we have negatives. So this first one is pretty easy. We've got 4.8 minus 1.6. Boy, I should be able to do that one in my head. We got 3.2. So we have 3.2. Those are my x cubed terms. Let's do this one. So now I have negative 6.1, and I want to subtract a negative 2.1. So subtracting a negative is like adding. So that's negative 4. X squareds. You can do it again and do it again. Okay? I'm not going to do all of these for you. Then you're going to get your x terms, and then you're going to get your numbers. That's as simplified as possible. It's telling you to put them in decimal form. Bing, bada, boom, piece of cake. Okay, now we're just going to do it vertically. Now you can change these and you can stack them if you want. Okay? If you like that vertical form, okay, so we are adding, then stack them and just do it that way. Plus 7x squareds minus 13x. We're adding. Add, add, add. Really easy. Subtract. Well, let's see what we got here. We've got fourths, thirds, and a number. Then we've got seconds, firsts, and a number. So this one might be easier just to leave it in a horizontal fashion because there's not much that we can combine here. So let's rewrite this. I want to show you something. This is saying to take this entire first polynomial and subtract the entire back polynomial. Okay, there's really a -1 here, so I'm going to have to distribute this -1 to every single term. So that means everything is just going to change signs. There's a +1 in front of this one, so the parentheses can come off of this front one without any issues. Okay, so this one's just, 1 times anything. And here, all the positives become negative and all the negatives become positive. Okay? Now, the only thing that I can combine are those two things. So I'm left with 5x to the fourth plus 8x cubed. Remember that powers have to be identical in order to add or subtract them. Minus 7x squared. I'm going to go in descending order. 7x's, so I've got that one, and I've just got a negative 8, negative 5, and a negative 3. So it's going from 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's what it's going to want. I can't add or subtract any of those because they're all different. Okay, so let's try this one. This is subtractions within subtractions. Oh, I like it. Okay, so brackets and parentheses. Why do we do that? Well, we do that just to keep things straight. The brackets and the parentheses are the same thing, unless we're using interval notation, something like that. When we're using it in this way, it's just easier to see that that one goes with this one because they're different. Sometimes if we have parenthesis within parenthesis within parenthesis, it's just hard to line them up, and that's the only reason that we switch these. Okay, so let's be very careful. That's my suggestion to you. So we always want to do the inside set of parentheses first, so I'm going to go inside this bracket and I'm going to subtract these two. That's all I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to retain my bracket and I'm going to get rid of my parentheses on the inside. This one has a 1 in front of it and this one has a negative 1 in front of it. So 1 times anything is itself, so these can come off. This set of parentheses comes off. This one, however, has to be distributed, so that means we're changing the signs again. If I subtract all of it, not just this front term. Minus 7m squared plus 2m minus 10. Negatives become positives, positives become negatives. All the signs switch. I'm just going to leave this alone for right now. I don't want to do too much. Now within this bracket I've got like terms. Okay. Here's my m squared terms. Now I can switch this to a parenthesis if I want. 10 minus 7 is 3, so I've got 3m squareds. Let's do the m terms next. I've got a positive 5 and a positive 2 for positive 7. And then I've got numbers. Numbers are always alike, correct? I've got negative 5 and a negative 10 for negative 15. Okay. Now I'm going to take this entire polynomial and subtract that entire polynomial. Well, I'm just doing it again. This one has the 1 in front of it. This one has a negative 1 in front of it. So this can come off. And this one is distributed, so everything changes signs. Everything on the inside of this one's positive, so it's going to make everything negative, right? The biggest mistake I always see is that people subtract this m squared and then say plus m plus 8. It's got to be everything because of the parentheses. And now again I'm combining like terms. You hear my stupid dog barking? Oh, puppies. I tell you, what was I thinking? They're like a toddler. 3m squareds minus 1m squared is 2m squareds. 7m's minus 1m is 6m's. And a negative 15 and a negative 8 is a negative 23. These are all different. I'm done. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that you keep going until you have everything different. So, you know, when I look at this, I've got like terms up in here, so I just keep shrinking, shrinking, shrinking till I don't. Okay? And that's about it. So, let's see. We want to get down. Okay, I want to get rid of all this. All right, so let's talk about perimeter. What is perimeter? Well, perimeter is the distance around an object, whatever it happens to be. So let's just hang on. I always forget to do this too. I always forget to bring that up. Okay, so we gotta get to the top of the page. Let's say I have a rectangle. Okay, pretend you're an ant and you have to walk along the edge. How far did you walk? Well, I've got this plus this plus this plus this. It doesn't matter what shape you've got. You know, you're the ant, you're walking here, here, and here. Or even some goofy shape. You know, right? You start here, you start anywhere. This plus 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 this. Okay, so it's the distance. Okay, so you're always going to have a positive value as far as, well, you're not going to because you've got expressions up in here, but if you had numbers, it would be a positive value because you can't walk a negative. But when we have expressions, we might have some negatives in there. Okay, so here we have a square. Okay, so that's very important, isn't it? What is a square? Well, it's a four-sided figure that are all the same. Every single side's the same. Distance. Okay, oops. So let's draw this square out. We've got 5/4. Come on. I think it's when I put my finger on that button it doesn't like that. And it just slips. So each one of these is the same distance. All right. So I could do 5/4 x squared plus 2x and add it to itself 4 times. But I'm going to be lazy and say, really, that's 4 times 5/4 x squared plus 2x. Right? I've got this plus this plus this plus this. So really I have 4 of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute my 4 or multiply my 4 through each term. So I'm going to take 5/4 of 4. Well, 4 times 5 is 20. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So I've got 5x squareds. I'm going to do it again. 4 times 2 is 8. 8x. Okay? That's my perimeter. Can we try that? So we have to do our 5x. I'm not going to check all of these. It's just too much work. And I really don't think that you need to see every single thing in here, but we can try some of these. All right. Same thing here. Now this triangle has 3 different lengths of sides. But again, we're looking for perimeter. So we're going to add this to this to this. Okay, so we can stack. I'm going to take this side first. I've got 5s squareds plus 9s's minus 7. I'm going to stack this one underneath. Okay, so I've got 13s squareds. This is sometimes a nice way to organize things. 4s plus 7. And then I'm going to stack that one underneath there. S minus 5. Okay? I hate s's. They look like 5s. That's an s. If you want to switch them to x's, you can, and then make sure you switch them back to s's in here. So perimeter is the distance around, so I'm adding. So here I have 18s squareds. Okay, this is a 1. If you want to put that in there. 9 minus 4 is 5 plus 1 is 6, right? So I've got 6 s's. 7 minus 7 is 0, minus 5 is minus 5. So there's your polynomial. These are all different, s squareds, s's, and 5s. So I can't add those, so I'm done on that one. And nothing new here. Okay, you're just adding. All right. Oh, we do have something new here. We have a double variable. Okay. Let's take this first one right here. All right. And we're going to, it's not that new, but still. I'm going to put this one here. And then I'm going to, since I'm adding, I'm just going to stack. And I'm going to put like terms underneath. I have a cubed b's. This whole piece has to match exactly this whole piece in order for me to add and subtract them. If this was even an a squared b or an ab cubed, they're not alike. Okay? So these are alike. So I'm just stacking and adding. So here I have 11a cubed b's. Here I have negative 16a cubed, and here I have negative 5b's. Now these are not alike because this does not have the b behind it. Remember, the whole lettered thing has to be exactly the same. Same letters, same power, same everything. Okay? And here we're just subtracting. Just be careful. Okay, negative 7 minus a negative 10, we've got our r squared g's. Negative 3 minus negative 11, we've got our rg squareds. Rg squareds are not the same as r squared g's. And then we've got a 3 minus a negative 7 rg's. Okay, so you're going to have 3 terms there. And that's it. So that's 5.1. That's the start of polynomials. You should be good on that, and I will see you for the next one.